Well, hello everybody. And in today's video, I want to show you how I very easily made this portable solar power generator, okay? I did not have to cut any wires. I didn't have to do any crimping of ends. I'll show you how I ordered everything already to size. I'll show you all of the components that I've used in this and where I got them from. And then I'll show you how I built this nifty little cart too. Plus, I'm gonna show you the mistakes I made and how you can overcome a mistake in the middle of a project. So if you're interested in a solar power generator, but you're not real sure that you think you can do it, trust me, you can do it. And I'm gonna show you how. Let's go. Well, let me show you all the components first. Then I'll show you how I have them connected together and how I did it without having to cut wires and create my own ends. I'll show you one last little cool component here. Then I'll show you the construction of the box with the mistakes that I made and how I adjusted for them. So let's start with the base. The main thing is the battery. This is a DC House 100 amp hour lithium battery. Now, all of my components are what I would call mid-price range. I did not want this thing to be super expensive, okay? So very mid-price range. I think the most expensive thing was, just over $100. So anyway, DC House 100 amp hour lithium battery. Now, these two components are much beefier are more substantial than I actually need for this 100 amp hour battery. But I wanted to go a little bigger here because that's going to give me the ability to add another battery later if I choose to, okay? I didn't want to be, buy a inverter and a solar charge controller that were just enough. So these are a little bit bigger. So now the battery is hooked into my inverter. This is a 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. I can't pronounce the name. It starts with JOR, then there's an X. Again, I'll have a link below. It's got two nice plugs over here. Very happy with this. Above the inverter is the solar charge controller. And this one is a Power Queen MPPT 30 amp, okay? What this is for, this allows you to have solar to charge this battery. You cannot hook a solar panel directly up to a battery. It will ruin the battery. So the charge controller then takes that power from the energy from the solar panel and evens it out and allows it to go to the battery. So those are just the three main components. Now, in between the battery and the the inverter, I have a 200 amp breaker, okay? I think these are actually audio breakers. People use them for sound systems and stereos. And as I'm here, I'm gonna turn this one on because I wanna show you something in a minute. Between the charge controller and the inverter, I have a 50 amp breaker, and I'm gonna turn it on as well. Now, my last little component here, and I don't know if you can see the green lights flashing, is I wanted this cart to have light, okay? Yes, I can plug a lamp into it, but I wanted the cart to have light itself. And this charge controller has a 12 volt connectors. So all I bought is a very inexpensive 12 volt light. It came with the little pigtail, and I just have it plugged into here. And when I push that button, it allows this to come on. So my cart has its own light. So theoretically, if I don't have power, we've had a hurricane, whatever, I don't really have to have a lamp plugged into this. This can do itself. And if I go this direction, only one of the lights comes on. So I thought that was a really cool addition to this cart, and it kind of came after I had built the other parts. So let's talk now about the connectors. So the connectors were a big concern of mine when I was doing my research. Everybody was telling me I had to buy this one special tool that was crimping the end of these wires to put the lugs on them so they could attach to the batteries. And I was looking around and, it was expensive, and it was probably going to be the only time I was ever going to use that tool. Well, I got looking around on eBay, and you can just order your wires cut to specific lengths, and they already have the connectors on them, and it was cheap as it could be. So I have a 6-inch red 2-gauge wire going from the battery to the amp breaker, another 6-inch red one going from the amp breaker into the inverter. I ordered a 12-inch black one to go from the battery to the inverter. All right. Then I ordered two 12-inch red ones. One goes from the inverter to this breaker, and from the breaker up into the charge controller. And then the charge controller, there is a black one that goes from the charge controller down to the inverter again. Okay, now the wires going into the charge controller, they don't need a connector on them. You want those wires exposed. They just push up in there, and you've got screws right here. Very easy to connect all of these things to the charge controller. All you need is a Phillips head screwdriver. All right, so I cut the ends off of those wires. They weren't that thick, and exposed the metal inside of the wire and pushed them up in there and attached them. That light is attached the same way. The wires just go up in here and they're screwed in. And then the last bit of connectors are these long extension cables that have MC4 connectors on the end, and that the MC4 connects to my solar panel, and it also connects to my charge controller. These are 50 feet long a piece. Again, I bought them off of eBay. I bought them with the MC4 connectors already on them, okay? And then the last little thing that I had to buy is I bought an MC4 pigtail. And what that means is I've got two MC4 connectors here with bare wires on this side, and they go up into the solar control, the charge controller. Again, screw in with the screw, and boom, it was done. To connect this thing up took no time, okay? So let me show you the cart and why I wanted this thing portable. So let's look at the part of the cart that is holding the battery. And it's just basically a very simple box. The only thing that I did that might be, you could consider a little fancy, I put two dados in each side for this shelf to fit in. But if you don't have the ability to do that, you could just take another piece of wood, use it as a cleat, and put it up underneath of here that runs the length, so your shelf sit on top of that. So this shelf was wide enough for this battery and deep enough for this battery. The legs, and I'll show you as I spin them around, come down farther so that when the wheels, everything sits level. All right. Here's where my first mistake was. When we get to the back, I'll show you why this is a mistake. Look at how wide this inverter is, and I didn't plan correctly for all of my wiring, but I had a simple recovery. Okay, so here is the side, and you can see how that front goes down. And I just made a cut that comes all the way across to the back, and that's just acts like a leg in the front to offset the height of the wheel. I had an axle from an old cart laying around the garage, and I just ran it through some drilled holes, okay, used some cotter pins to keep the wheels on there, okay? And again, very simple. Let me show you the back. Well, here you can see that the back fits inside the side, so it's very easy to then screw the sides into the back, okay? Now, here's my fix for that mistake that I made. I didn't make the original width wide enough to fit that inverter. So I just had to take a little side piece that just butted up against the side of here to make it flat across the front. Took another piece of plywood and ran it across here. So this piece is screwed to there, this piece is screwed into here. It made a nice little extension. Now, you can see that it's done again up here, and that was for the light. And again, the light was an add-on at the end. I didn't plan for the light. That was after I had built this whole thing. I was thinking, hey, a light would be great. So I had to just put an addition on. And lastly, I just put a piece of wood all the way across the back. It's wider. I kind of round sanded the edges, and it makes a handle. So something that I can hold on to when I move it around. All right. Couple nails right up here in the top that holds my extension cords. I just be able to sit it right there. Everything is self-contained. Simple as that. Well, there you have my very simple, portable, solar powered cart. I think this thing is so neat. And here in the Gulf Coast of Alabama, we have hurricanes. We can lose power. This is what I wanted this for. Also, it gives me the ability, this thing can run power tools. It can charge batteries. It can do everything. And so I have the ability to have power wherever I need it without running an extension cord. Let me give you one example of how this 100 amp hour battery worked. I've got one of those little college refrigerators, something you'd have in a dorm room in my garage, and it's an older one. It's 12 or 13 years old, so it's not an energy saving one. And I ran it one time. I charged this battery up completely. I ran the refrigerator for, I think it was 34 hours before the battery went down. So that was pretty good right there with that one battery running a refrigerator for 34 hours. I was very pleased with that. So all in all, I wouldn't change any of the components. I'm very happy with everything that I bought here. This Power Queen charger, charge controller has an app that by Bluetooth, it connects with the app so you can look at how much solar you have coming in, how much power is being used. It's very, very cool. You can go do your research on that as well. And again, I researched every single one of these pieces on my own, watching other people's YouTube channels and just, reading reviews and everything. And what I bought, very, very happy with. Well, listen, thanks for coming into this video. And if you want to build yourself a solar generator, you can do it, all right? You don't have to have all those special tools that everybody says you have for the wiring. You can get all that stuff pre-done. Well, thank you so much for coming into my video. I really appreciate it. And here's one other thing with my videos. I just want to throw this out there. This is just use these for ideas. Come up with your own idea. How would you like the cart? I had this piece of scrap 3/4 inch plywood in my garage. So I set the cart up the way that I wanted it. I wanted it to be like a dolly so I can move it up and down stairs easy. I don't want to pick the thing up. But if that's not a need for you, you might be able to build a shorter one that just maybe is on some casters that push it on. But just use it for ideas and know that you can do it yourself, okay? And be very successful. Again, thanks a lot, everybody. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button for me. Y'all have a great day.